Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of Tourismus Namibia, our weekly or Saturday morning show, whichever way you want to have it. Welcome to the show once again. My name is Frank Steffen. I'm the editor of Allgemeine Zeitung, but obviously also the Tourismus Namibia magazine. And as you can see today, we've got a new face here. Welcome, Mariselle Stofberg. She is working for, or she's part of the My Zone team. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Frank. I'm very happy to be here and to share all the amazing things that are happening in our country at the moment.
And once again, like I said last, why we try and invite different people to the show so that we don't bore you with the same subjects and the same tendency every week. So hopefully, and I think you'll agree if you say watch later on, we've got a whole lot of news that Mariselle brought today, so thank you for that as well.
Thank you.
So up next we've got topics, later on we've got destinations as always, and then to the point. I think all of them are interesting, but let's go for the topics first. So up next, you've got the first one that you want to present. Yeah.
So I think this is also a very important topic to touch on. And in Friday's edition of the Allgemeine Zeitung, you could read about the fact that Namibia and Germany have signed a letter of intent to establish a German-Namibian hydrogen partnership, for which Germany will provide funding for of about 40 million euros. So the German federal government wants to play a very central role in the implementation of the hydrogen strategy within our country. So I think it shows the importance of cooperation between the two countries and also what could be made possible if we take hands and we work towards a common goal.
Yeah, that's one thing. And then very important for us here, especially in this show, being sort of the team that sort of concentrates more on environment and tourism.
Yeah.
I find it heartening that instead of looking at the sort of oil stuff up in Kavango, we're looking at renewable energy.
Yeah.
And I think hydrogen has become a bit of a buzzword over the past few years now. So it's good to see that Namibia is becoming part of that sort of new drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then up next, charcoal. You will remember that we've had that theme on this show before. Charcoal obviously is a subject where some of the people are wondering whether Namibia is sort of taking over the liabilities of the Western world. But we've got this problem that we've got too much bush. And so with this bush encroachment, there are quite a number of nice new projects. So as regards this charcoal production, Namibia finally seems to be in a good space. So in an article of the Allgemeine Zeitung, we brought this initiative that the Agricultural Development Bank, Agribank, has brought out, and they will allow for loans to be taken up by charcoal producers. So it aims at supporting those who want to expand as well as those who would like to get hold of startup capital, which is good news. And Michael Dege of Namibia Charcoal Association, NCA, recognizes at this stage that there's a huge growing potential for this export item of Namibia. And so Republican has also brought an article, and they've focused more on the important subject in terms of regenerating our farming areas. And according to Hans Stein of Cabo Charcoal in Uchu, which is the picture that you sort of see there, charcoal manufacturers had their best year ever, notwithstanding the impact of COVID-19. So important in this regard is that these producers remain true to the environmental standards of the Forest Stewardship Council. And the FSC principally concentrates a lot on making sure that you do this in a managed way.
Yeah.
So because at one stage I remember we had I wrote the commentary or the editor's point of view in the Allgemeine Zeitung, where I criticized the fact that there seemed to be a stage where everybody just went for it.
Yeah.
And then you've got a serious problem, because we've got quite a number of trees that are obviously protected, like the camelthorn and whatever. And people were just simply cutting off every piece of wood they had, and that was never the idea. So I'm actually quite glad that this is coming to a point, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important for us to preserve what we have, but to also look in terms of the management thereof, so we can safeguard what's needed for our future generations, but also use what we have in a way that sustains us.
Exactly.
And I think that's very important. And speaking about sustainability, something that we've been picking up, especially amongst the youth and amongst our schools, is the growing of school gardens within our communities. And that's something that makes me very excited. So in the picture, you can see this is a school garden in Keetmanshoop, at Keetmanshoop Secondary School. And this garden was started, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. And then this garden has grown and exceeded all expectations that initially started. So now the aim of the project was to develop on-site vegetables, and where teachers could teach basic agriculture to their students. And now it's grown that the school can actually use the crops for their soup kitchens as well. And the pictures currently you can see, they were taken at our primary school. And this was done by the Namibian Agronomic Board, and they introduced the school gardening funding program or project. And this was done earlier this year at our primary. But the cool thing is that this is one of 14 gardens that they kick-started throughout the country. And what they want to do is they don't not only want to empower the schools with school gardens so they can create their own produce. This was iceberg lettuce. That they actually grew at the school, but they also help them with the basic knowledge of how to water the gardens, how to take care of them. And the very cool thing is they will also be monitoring the 14 gardens throughout the country with mentorship as well. So they virtually, you'll be able to engage with people from the agronomic board, and the teachers and the learners and the supervisors will now be able to get virtual mentorship throughout the year. Wow. So it's not just a once-off, here's a garden, now just run with it. It's actually mentoring you to sustain that garden.
And you know what is funny in this regard? I had to smile the more you spoke about it. I used to be quite a lot involved with Dagbreek School, which is obviously for the mentally and physically challenged people.
Yeah.
And they've had that sort of thing for years. I mean, it's part of how they maintain their school. Because you can imagine, especially with handicapped people, it becomes an ever more difficult situation for them. I mean, each time that schools receive lesser funding, then you always see that the parents sort of make a plan. But parents who've got a child that has handicaps, I tell you one thing, it becomes a problem for them. Yeah. So that school has always been leading the way in that regard. And so it's quite funny to see these sort of photos that I've sort of gotten used to. They've got a market once a month and they carry on. They've been doing. So it's good to see that normal children also learn how irrigation works, how they can maintain the stuff, because many of these children finish school. They don't find work immediately. Exactly. And they go back to their homelands, and it's good if they're in the villages and they can actually assist their parents and possibly make better use of what they've got. Yeah. Because up to now that wasn't always the case. So yeah, good for them, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And also another thing that we picked up, especially amongst the youth, Shanique Rabe, who was newly crowned as Miss Supranational 2021. We were very, very proud. She shared some pictures of her national costume. And then she mentioned that the recycled glass beads, as you can see on the picture there, they were handmade at the glass recycling workshop of the Sijwa project in the Zambezi region in the northeastern parts of Namibia. And Shanique has been very passionate about the youth and empowering the youth, and also using this platform to promote the tourism of her country, but also its people. Yeah. And she's been part of this specific project where she started to help train grade 10 scholars from the local Majuni High School, where they recently also launched the junior sewing school. And she is a fashion designer by profession, but she's also passionate about empowering the next generation.
Okay.
So she has taken her skills that she has of sewing, and she decided to collaborate with the project and then teach these kids how to get the basic skills. And now you can also see that flow through back to the national costume, which was representing our country on such an amazing platform.
Yeah.
So I think it's great to see young people giving back, but also empowering in the process.
And the big important thing is, I think that's where the changes come. It has always been there as social involvement and engagement, but these days it's become much, much more important for all these pageants to basically not only receive, but also to dish out. And I think it's a very good thing. So yeah, we thought that was quite nice. And why I love that is some of you might remember that Chloe on the show actually also spoke about these projects up in Zambezi region. So it's nice to see that the stuff slowly trickles down to Windhoek and has a much bigger impact. That's really what sustainability is all about. Let's face it. Okay, and then elephants. You will remember that we spoke about the elephants that have been sort of looked at. There was this idea of Namibia to have 170 elephants sold. So it seems the Swiss Environmental Foundation, it's known as the Foundation Franz Weber, FFW, and they say that the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism's plan to sell 57 African elephants so far will jeopardize the survival of some of the country's elephant population. The foundation says it has sent a team to Namibia to investigate the matter, and it has been found that local communities will not benefit from the elephant sales. Furthermore, the government's plan is a violation of Namibia's international obligations. That's what we spoke of earlier already. So it is for this reason that the foundation has requested the Secretariat of the Convention on Trade in Endangered Species, which you might possibly know as CITES, and they also asked the Swiss authorities and the ministry to put a stop to the sale. The ministry announced on August 11th that it had sold 57 of the 170 elephants to put out to tender in December already, and a total of 42 are exported to destinations that the ministry did not want to disclose. The rest were sold locally, so an amount of 5.9 million was raised in the process. And you will remember that we spoke about it, I think it was 2 weeks ago. And it is exactly this. We still do not know where these elephants are going. And we worked out with all the black market rates that you pay for ivory. You could technically buy a normal elephant at this sort of rate, 5.9 million for almost 60 elephants. Keep them somewhere stashed away until the whole haji-baji goes away, and then you finally get them out, slaughter them and sell the ivory and make a huge profit. So we're not really sticking to what was the idea always. So anyway, so those are the elephants. Let's see what's happening at the moment. They're still counting them up there, so let's make sure that Namibia is up front and not one of the people that causes the problem.
Definitely, and I think it's important for us to play open cards. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, with our people.
Transparent, you know,
exactly.
Talk about it, and I've always said that nobody minds that we need to manage our numbers. But make it a transparent process. People want to know where these animals are going. They want to know that there's no scheme going on. Because invariably, if you say, oh, we've got so and so many countries that are buying, but we won't disclose them. I mean, fish rot is too much in Namibian minds. So it doesn't work that way anymore. Be transparent. Tell us where they're going. We want to be able to go and visit that place and see whether that elephant is still there. So, and government needs to make peace with that fact. People will not take it for granted any longer.
Definitely.
So I was out at a farm the other day, not the other day, last weekend, in fact, on Sunday. And as I was driving, I saw a sort of blackish thing going over the road. And then I drove closer and I stopped and I got out of the car. because this animal was trying to hide in the grass and was actually doing quite a good job of it. And it literally cost me to make these photos. I mean, I was like 1.5 meters away. This photo, for example, here, you can't see it but if you would like focus into it on the left-hand side, you would literally see its eyes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like looking at me through there. So you can't, obviously this is just a video, but you can see how well hidden it was eventually.
Yeah.
So I had to get back into my car, reverse, and I had to wait for about 10 minutes before it would actually leave its hiding place.
Yeah.
So, and then when I saw it walking on, then I quickly ran there again to make a better photo. So these monitor lizards are part of the genus Varanus. And that's why I had quite a lot of problem to really get detail about this animal, because you invariably look at leghorns, and we don't really have leghorns. We have these monitor lizards. So they're native to Africa, Asia, and Oceania. And one species is also found in the Americas as an invasive species. Yeah. So about 80% are recognized. This one was very fat, and the one person I spoke to said, you wouldn't be surprised if this was a female that was getting ready to lay its eggs. Yeah. So they have very long necks and powerful tails and claws, and they actually hit out with that tail if you're not careful. And so very well developed limbs, and I think I actually got a hold of a very nice specimen here. Yeah. The adult length of that species ranges from 20 centimeters to over 3 meters. I mean, this is like a crocodile. Okay, the latter, the 3-meter one, is the Komodo dragon, so it's part and parcel of that sort of species. And the extinct varanid, known as Megalania, its Latin name is Varanus priscus, may have been capable of reaching lengths of more than 7 meters. So most monitor species are terrestrial, and while most monitor lizards are carnivorous, eating eggs, smaller reptiles, fish, birds, insects, and small mammals, some also eat fruit and vegetation depending on where they live. So yeah, I was quite glad to get hold of this thing. It's not something that you see every day. Yeah. And normally if you see them, they're quick to take cover. Yeah. You know, so fortunate for me in this case, there was not a tree around, because that's what they normally do. The moment they have a tree close to you, they're up there and about, and you will not get there to make a photo. So I thought I'd have to share it. It's not every day that we see something different to a lion and an elephant. Yeah.
And I think it's amazing, and to find these little treasures, even when you don't expect it. That's why you should keep your eyes open whenever you're moving. Yeah,
and the farmer, when I told him about it, he was quite proud, and he said, "You see, my natural environment is still natural," and I agree with him. So yeah, well done there. So those were our topics for today. Up next, we've got destinations.
So we're kickstarting our destinations today by returning to the coast. We recently just came back from the coast where we were engaging schools as part of My Zone. So it's funny, it keeps finding me around different corners. Okay. But our colleague Leandrea Louw, she spoke to Kenneth Kapitako, and he is a local tour operator who operates in the Sandwich Harbour area. And he talks about a recent meeting hosted amongst local tour operators, the establishment of an association to work with the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, MEFT, and the Namibia Tourism Board, NTB. So he reflects on the lessons learned from COVID-19 and keeping tour prices low to cater to the locals. So please have a look.
Yeah, the former picture was actually our background picture that we chose for today.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, yeah. So this is obviously a very pristine area. I mean, Sandwich Harbour is just magic. I've been there many times. And it's where you invariably end up when you do these dune trips also, when you drive from Lüderitz up to Warfish Bay. And there's another one that you can take is where you drive from Solitaire, basically, right through the dunes over to Fishersbrunn, and then eventually you end up at the sea, and then obviously it's another beautiful trip. So it's normally 5-day trips, these ones, and like this one is something that you don't see every day. You only see it closer to Sandwich Harbour.
Kenneth, there was a meeting today with various tour operators. Can you just tell us why the meeting and what was discussed?
All right, we came up with a meeting with different tour operators, mainly doing tours to Sandwich Harbour or local tour operators from Swakop and Warfish Bay, regarding different aspects that we had, different issues that we had that we wanted to discuss with MAT. One of those issues was obviously the high park fees that were increased recently. I mean, if you look at the list that we have, park fees have increased from what they were to like 400%, 150%. There are some issues that we wanted to discuss with them regarding rules and regulations of the park. The North Park, you find we as tour operators buying permits every day to do tours into Sandwich Harbour, and then you find a random person just driving into the park without any permit. And there's a few issues that we wanted to discuss with them, and a few issues that we want to tackle with MAT. The main issues was obviously the park fees, because I took that up with the director of MAT in Windhoek 2 months back, and where we discussed if maybe MAT could have put the increase of park fees on hold. The tourism sector is one of the hardest hit sectors by COVID. A lot of companies have closed down, a lot of people have been retrenched, and we have decreased our prices so we could accommodate local tourists just to keep afloat. We are autopilot. Now, with the high increase of park fees, this has really put a big dip in our budget and in our coffers as well. So that's why we wanted to sit with MAT and discuss that maybe if they can hear us out and just put a hold on the park fees till we are out of this this COVID-19 epidemic crisis that we're facing right now.
Now, there were also talks of establishing association. Was that also done today?
Yeah, look, establishing an association would be amongst the local tour operators that are operating in Warfish Bay, in Swakopmund. This association will obviously help us also help MAT and NTB, control a few things in the park, like illegal vehicles entering the park, illegal activities taking place in the park. This will also help us help MAT to have control over issues of, sometimes you find illegal tour operators that are operating without any licensed vehicles. It will bring control over the whole area that we are operating in as well.
Was it established today, or they still talking?
It was not established yet. We're going to have a meeting on the 2nd of September, in 2 weeks' time, where we're going to come up with a committee that is going to represent this association. This committee is obviously going to be working hand in hand with MAT and NTB if there's any issues that we need to discuss, or if there's important changes that we want to do regarding rules and regulations of these areas that we're operating in, mainly Sandwich Harbour. So the Namib Park, so it's still gonna be sorted out in 2 weeks' time.
Awesome. Now, as a tour operator, how have you been keeping afloat?
I've been on autopilot. All right, as a tour operator, as I mentioned earlier, we since last year when the country was open up for business, we dropped our prices to accommodate local tourists in Namibia. And I really take my hats off for local Namibians. They have really come through for us. They understand that we are going through a drastic time. We also want to talk about the good part. We have had a lot of local, international clients coming in as well. But it's not as the way it was before. You're taking baby steps. industry is growing a little bit. Hopefully, if the country could understand the whole aspect of behind these people getting vaccinated, it will also be a big bonus for us as a country. You know, tourism being one of the biggest sectors in the Namibia's economy that brings billions of dollars to the Namibia's coffer, that has employed thousands of Namibians. One issue that we have is obviously the rate that people are getting vaccinated is very low, and recently in Namibia, it was also marked as not to go to country by certain European countries, but it's obviously off the radar now. If people get vaccinated, it will really help us a lot, or get more tourists in Namibia. It will bring comfort in European countries where most of Namibia's tourists come from, to come visit Namibia and have their tours done in Namibia.
And then just finally from my side, there's a few tour operators that are just plain arrogant, and you get those self-drive people as well that don't follow the routes like they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
What would you like to tell them?
Well, to those tour operators that are obviously not following the rules and regulations, look, Sandwich Harbour is a very special place. It's one of those World Heritage sites as well. For them, it's probably just a little pocket, making money pocket in the pocket, but for us as legal tour operators that are fully registered, this is a business for our families. This is what pays our bread and butter. It's business for our kids in the future. Message to you is, if you want to do the right thing, register your company like all of us did, follow the right procedures. It is not difficult to register a company. It is not registered to get the relevant documents. Play by the rules, because you're busy playing in our yard, and if you don't follow the rules, we'll bite back as well and sort you out. Going through COVID, as tour operators, everybody back in the past was running his own race and doing his own thing. Everybody didn't want to work with other tour operators, you did your own thing. But COVID has brought a lot of tour operators back together on the drawing board. We started associating more with fellow tour operators. We started working more with each other. COVID has also told us, not just to invest in your eggs in one basket, especially as in the tourism sector, because we never knew that COVID would hit the tourism sector so hard to its knees, down to the ground. So it has brought closure to people, working together. It has helped us help each other survive through this whole thing. So those are the lessons that we have learned in the tourism sector, and don't take anything for granted, definitely. COVID last year, and when we opened up the country for operating and people starting to move around last year, we dropped our prices to accommodate Namibians. In the past, it was not really done that way. We did have our Namibian rates, but it was still too much for Namibians and stuff like that. But we looked at, how can we accommodate Namibians? And we dropped our prices drastically to accommodate Namibians. I believe lodges also did this, hotel establishments, guest houses have done that. And Namibians really stepped out to help us through, you're not making a big of a profit, but you're making a profit to survive as well. And in the same vein, it has also taught Namibians about their own country. It has helped Namibians realize that how much beauty lies in their own country. Namibians like traveling abroad, going to Cape Town, going to Dubai. But us dropping the prices and accommodating them has also taught them about their own country, to know their own country's history, to experience what foreigners are experiencing in Namibia. So we are definitely going to keep our prices. Personally, my company is going to keep their prices low for the local Namibians. A lot of people ask the same questions. If COVID is over, I can go back to normal prices. No, I'm not. I'm going to keep them local prices, local for Namibians. We have seen the numbers coming in from Namibians, and we really appreciate their effort and helping us out. So from my side, your prices are going to stay the same, right? It's like the request from the health sector is to educate people more on the vaccines. Go out in the rural areas, try to convince people to get vaccinated, make them understand why they have to get vaccinated, because you find a lot of people in the villages, a lot of people who are a little bit not well educated, that don't know why I must get vaccinated. Yes, they know there's COVID out there, but I believe if they go out and educate people more about why getting vaccinated, what are the positive aspects of this vaccination, people will understand more. because, you know, social media has been spreading a lot of rumors of people don't get vaccinated because A, B, C. But if they do go out and educate people, it will really be a benefit to us in the tourism sector. The more people we have vaccinated as a country, it will help bring ease to the tourism sector. It will bring comfort to those countries that provide or where our most tourists are coming from, which is Europe. Imagine if 80% of the EU was vaccinated, it will bring a lot of, not only in the tourism sector, but other business sectors as well. It will bring more investors back to Namibia. People will have that ease of, okay, country is vaccinated, we're good to go.
Yeah, I think the interesting part of this interview might have even been put in under to the point, but it is a destination, Sandwich Harbour, and you know, it is, whether we like it or not, a German tourist is likely to prefer a German tour guide. Yeah. English person would love somebody who can communicate with them in their style. Yeah. And so I think it's a very good thing that we see this sort of development where tour guides from different backgrounds come in. Yeah. And clearly Kenneth is not an idiot, anything but. And what I like is that he's starting to organize a bit of a local presence for these people. You know, for the tour guides, yeah. Because TASA clearly does a good job. There's no doubt about it. But I think it's important that there's a bit of localized, you know, representation. I just hope that eventually, instead of reinventing the wheel, that they will later tie up with TASA, yeah. So that TASA can still be the bigger thing, the bigger representation for the country as a whole. Because the problem that you have in tourism at the moment is that everybody wants to cook his own little broth. Yeah. And I'm not always sure that that is the right way to go, because you need to have some compromise every once in a while, and then everybody comes together and they speak as one voice. Yeah. I think it's very important, especially COVID has shown that, because the ministry was often unsure of what people wanted, because there always seemed to be somebody coming into the scrum from the side, and that to me is not a good thing. Yeah. Right, but up next we've got Pandu's Guesthouse, and if you look at this map here, you will see I highlighted Pandu's accommodation there at the bottom. This is the road that leads from Ondangwa over to Oshakati, and if you look at that turnoff on the right hand side, it's as you turn towards the entertainment center. So Pandu's as such is literally just a few hundred, well, not even 100, let's say 200 meters away from that turnoff. And that turnoff again is no more than a kilometer away from there. You can see maybe on the pictures OTF, which basically stands for Ongwediva Trade Fair. Those are their sites just after Ben's Building Supplies. So this is directly next to the road, and I think it's good to see that those sort of accommodation sites are being established. Yeah. So clearly it's part of the O regions, and Tuyeimo-Ivawa Haidula, she's our reporter of the Namibian Sun up in Ondangwa and Oshakati, and she basically just introduced this lodge to us. And once again, you've noticed over recent months that since we've started getting different contributions from different areas, this is not always your typical guest house or lodge as we would know it for overseas guests, but there's certainly nothing wrong in going and visiting this place if you go to Ovamboland. And I've been known to try and promote the O regions for some time now, so this sort of thing always is heartening for me to see that there are different places that are really going the extra mile, making sure that people can have a good night's stay, and basically plan their trips from there, because like I always, it's a preferred comment of mine, people pack their cars, drive to Kenya to go and meet those people. Yeah. Well, why not do that in our country? I mean, what's different? You might just as well get to know your local people and see. So yeah, like I said, Tuyeimo has spoken to them, so let's have a look.
Hello, welcome to Pandu Guesthouse. We are located in Ongwediva, just by the main road. You are driving from Oshakati. After you pass Indongo Toyota, you are driving from Ondangwa is before you go to the airport. Our service here, we have a swimming pool. That you can see here. Our clients that are booked here, they swim for free. And people from outside, the damage is $40 per person. For small kids, it's $20. Where our restaurant is, we offer breakfast, because it's a bed and breakfast. We also have a community kitchen where people are allowed to eat, order food from the menu, but outside people are also welcome to eat here. If they are not booked here, you can come for lunch or dinner. We offer foods like lamb chicken, dingo, T-bones, seafood also. Yeah, and the price it's good. Okay. For the restaurant, we are open 24 hours, 24/7 actually. You can order anytime. We can be at your service any time of the day, any time of the night. And this is how our standard rooms looks like. The price is $500. That automatically includes breakfast. And we also have other ranges which are $400, $450, and our other room is $600. In bed. So actually 4 people are allowed to book in here. Two. Okay, our beds are 2 people per room and 3 if there's a child. So maximum is 2 people, minimum is 1 person. This is a $600 room. Very nice, too big and comfy.
Yeah, it's quite a nice place, I must say. And like I always say, it doesn't always have to be 5-star.
Yeah.
Most people who go and leave do not go to Ondangwa or Shakati to stay in a 5-star place. All that you want is you want a neat place, you want it tidy and clean, you want to be able to shower properly, and you want to relax. Okay, and this thing has everything that you want, and that's why I like it. To me, that is the way to go, because I remember in the beginning, everybody who had some space suddenly was an accommodation site.
Yeah.
And people are now clearly understanding that if you want sustainable income, you want people to come again, then you need to present something that's neat, and this is certainly neat. So yeah, I've often said so, and I repeat myself, the way to go in Ovamboland is combine your trip with Etosha. Either enter from the eastern side and drive up and then go through the top entrance and drive through Ovamboland, have a look, go up to Ruakana or go to Tsandi, from Tsandi back down to Etosha and enter again from the western side, or leave from that side and go vice versa. It doesn't really matter how you do it, but there's lots to be seen in Ovamboland as well. And it's just, I don't know, for one or another reason, tourism has not caught there, and I will never understand it, because if you go to Kaokoland, you also don't see that much more. You've got 4x4 routes, which you've got here too.
Yeah, I think what I picked up also with this guest house is that I think it's important for us to remain authentic to what we have. I think a lot of people think that for us to attract tourists or for you to be successful, you need to strive to be this 5-star accommodation or strive to be what we think people would want, instead of us just staying true to our roots and giving people that unique experience that they are looking for.
Yeah.
And speaking of unique experiences, we just had to also include a little reminder to our Namibians to follow the NWR ambassadors, if you want to keep track of all the beautiful places we have in our country. So have a look at who the people are you should be following and what they will be up to.
Namibia Wildlife Resorts recently selected 10 social media influencers from 199 submissions with whom they will collaborate over the next few months. Given the current COVID situation, the program will kick off as soon as restrictions are lifted. Here the selected 10 introduce themselves.
My name is Shadai K. I am a media personality, a mom influencer / blogger, and I'm also an actress and an entrepreneur. And I'm excited to announce that I have been chosen as one of the NWR influencers for this year. So I'm so excited, and I can't wait to share my journey and my experience with you. And also I can't wait to create the memories with my family, especially my kids who haven't traveled as much as I have. So watch the spot, and I hope that you appreciate the content that's coming your way.
Hello guys, my name is Nakanyalanta Koneka, and I am one of the candidates that were chosen for the social media influencer gig by NWR. I just want to say how happy I am to actually be a part of this project, and I hope that I do it the justice that it deserves. Other than that, guys, this is our project, so let's have fun.
I'm very excited, guys. Like, I'm profoundly very honored to be part of the NWR influencer program. Now, my one biggest mission is to make an impact and contribute to the establishment to make things better. Things that has been caused by the evil enemy, the COVID-19 pandemic. We are in this together, and we will go through this together. So I'm inviting you guys to follow my journey.
Hi everyone, Yi here. I'm so honored to have been chosen by NWR as an influencer for their first ever social media program. I'm truly humbled by the fact that my voice matters and could inspire others to venture out into our beautiful and diverse country. I'm so excited to share my adventure through Namibia with all of you, and I promise lots of fun and lots of laughter along the way.
Hi friends, Marcy here from Lady Marcella. Alright, so how I felt when I got chosen to be part of the NWR social media influencer program was, I remembered when I got that email, I was completely excited and then shocked and then super happy. And I know that I screenshot the email and I sent it to my friend, and I was like, pack your bags, we are going on an adventure. So we're currently planning, and I hope you guys will stay tuned and watch us as we take you along on our next adventure.
I'm very excited that I've been chosen for this influencer program for NWR. It's been quite a long lockdown here in South Africa. I haven't been to the bush as much as I would have liked to have been, and to get up to Namibia will be a very nice, unique change. Some very different animals up there for me to photograph. I'm really into my wildlife, and I'm really looking forward to this change and getting up there and seeing something different.
Hi everyone, my name is Pukuriatwa, and I am one of NWR's social media influencers for their program. I am so excited. I feel like this is such a great initiative, reaching out to social media influencers and connecting with local, creating meaningful content. We have 5 beautiful trips lined up. I cannot wait to go on the very first one, create all of this content, and just show Namibia what it's actually made of.
Hi everyone, my name is Lisma Berger and I am one of the NWR influencers. I was so happy when I received the email saying that I was chosen to be one of the influencers. It means so much to me and I really can't wait to come travel your beautiful country. I'm from South Africa, a small town of South Africa, and I've always been obsessed with Namibia and the landscapes and all the things. And I can't wait to experience all the beautiful places and things you have to offer and meet amazing people. And I'm looking forward to show and share with you guys everything I see along the way.
Hi guys, my name is Elizabeth Abunyela and this really came in as a surprise for me. However, I'm excited to be part of this program. I can't wait to explore my country and just make the most out of it and also share my experience with you guys. I'm really excited. So, yeah.
Hi, my name is Maggie Lenga. I feel very honored. I feel very lucky. I'm so excited. I personally love to travel. So when you have to travel and you're not paying for anything, what more could you ask for, right? So I can't wait for lockdown to be lifted and just up and go, start showing off Namibia, start showing off what NWR has to offer, and you know, their beautiful resorts, their beautiful lodges and camping sites. So to promote traveling within Namibia, there'll be a whole lot of content coming your way. So thank you NWR for doing this. We're very, very excited. Can't wait to start.
And there's always been a lot of interaction between Namibia Wildlife Resorts and Tourismus Namibia. Yeah. Obviously because they have all the biggest attraction points covered in this country, whether you go to Etosha, whether you go to Swakop, Wolfish Bay, go down south, Hadap, wherever you go, NWR always has some form of solution where you can go and visit and enjoy this country. So I hope they do well with that. And this was obviously done in July, so hopefully in due course we'll get some contributions from them to actually see where they're going and what they're doing. So let's just keep up to date with that one and take it from there.
Definitely, I'm very excited to see, and also I think it brings a level of, again, like I mentioned, authenticity, because you see from real people going on holiday or vacation and what their experience is. Exactly.
So until then, this is today's destinations. Up next, we've got To The Point. Right, up next we've got a little contribution which Yolanda Nel prepared for us, and she spoke to a guy called JP Nickel, and he's finding himself on the way from down South Africa, traversing Namibia. He eventually wants to land up in China, so good for him. I wish I could join him. So, but have a look at this interview yourself.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm joined with a tourist and traveler all the way from Cape Town. JP, thank you so much for your time and meeting with me here in the bush.
In the bush, yes.
Quickly tell us, you're on your journey Cape Town to China. Tell us about this.
In my head, I started planning this 5 years ago. I've always wanted to do a really big trip. Initially, the trip was just going to be circumventing Africa, but then with the whole Corona situation, I decided, let's Google how far I can drive from Cape Town. Believe it or not, I understand that you can walk or cycle or drive from Cape Town to the middle of Russia on tarred roads. So I decided, okay, why don't I just drive to China? So I'm driving to China.
How long is this journey going to take you?
Really, there's no time frame. I'm not particularly fazed about time. I don't have any time frame restrictions, but I do think it's going to take between 3 and 5 years. It's the most difficult part about this journey is the beautiful countries. You don't actually want to rush. Most people, in my opinion, you drive from point A to point B, and your actual aim is your destination. On a trip like this, the actual destination is almost irrelevant. I'm somewhere here on Google Maps and I have to get somewhere there on Google Maps, but how I wiggle my way through, it's fine. Namibia has been a particularly interesting eye-opening. I've seen beauties that I didn't think I'd see, and I've been here now just on 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
What has been your favorite of Namibia?
Oh, that's such an unfair question. There's so many. There's really so many. Strangely enough, I really enjoyed Swakopmund as a town, but in terms of the bush environment, the Cocoland. This vehicle is self-contained. It has water, it has food, it has electricity, a fridge freezer. So I was able to go into the Cocoland for 4 days. I could have been there for 2 weeks. It's just breathtaking. I find that a lot of Namibia, the geology of Namibia, the rocks and the mountains and the hills is quite rough. Big chunky sharp rocks. The Cocoland, it's soft flowing sandy hills where it kind of envelops you and welcomes you in.
Why did you decide to travel?
I guess the answer is why not? Look, my opinion is we have seasons in life. We grow up, we study if we're lucky enough to study, we start a working environment, we buy a house, we aim for retirement, we go into retirement, we die. I don't want that. I want to explore the world. So I'm in my mid-40s, I've made a little bit of money, I've got a vehicle, I have the physical ability to go traveling, and I have a desire to explore the world. Why not?
So what have you learned during your journey?
Initially it was very difficult to be a wild camp. I probably wild camp 25 days out of 30, which means I'm in the bush, I'm in the mountains, I'm in the desert, self-sufficient. It was very difficult initially to have my own company. Now people say, hey, I'm really comfortable with my own company. What they really mean is the TV in the background, you're on your cell phone or on WhatsApp, you've got your computer going ping, ping, ping with emails, and hey, I'm on my own company. No, 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 no. In the bush, there's nothing but you and the sound of nature. And initially, actually, your eardrums hurt a bit because it's so quiet. It sounds weird, but it is. So I've learned that there's so little that we need to be happy. I must be honest. And it actually costs so little. Sure, there's a bucky and a canopy and all those things that I needed to buy. But once you're on the road, it doesn't cost a lot of money to be happy. It doesn't have to be expensive restaurants and vehicles and houses and holidays. It's just the simple simplicity of being one with nature.
So tell us, how has Namibia been treating you?
Weather-wise, it's been amazing. I arrived just before you had that cold snap. That was no fun. That was showering at -3 degrees Celsius in the morning. With Africa, there's no hot water in this thing. So once I get to Europe, if I get to Europe, I'll install hot water, but it's cold water. But -3 is a little bit colder than you actually want to. I showered that morning and I actually wrote the word cold on my bonnet for the icicle. So that was cold, but weather has been astounding. I come from Cape Town. We have a cold, biting, strong wind a lot of the time. You've got beautiful, mild weather in Namibia. Your people are friendly. Everyone is friendly. No country is perfect, but Namibia is friendly. The people have been fantastic. Your road structure is superb. A lot of it gravel, it's kind of part of the fun, but it is great condition. Namibia is a great country.
Where have you been in Namibia?
I think my polar steps says that I've done 8,200 kilometers in the 8 weeks I've been here. I arrived from South Africa, Richtersveld, through Fjolsdrift in the south, and then I've wiggled my way all the way up the coast, all the way up to Swakopmund, Henties Bay, to Messam Crater, into something called the Dead Sea. You've got a tiny little Dead Sea in the middle of Namibia, if you don't know. And then I went into the Messam Crater, through Messam Crater to Spitzkoppe. Up from Spitzkoppe I headed all the way up to Kokoland, and then Kokoland I come back just past the western side of Etoshapan to Windhoek to do a number of things and to meet awesome people, and the journey is a question mark from here.
Great. For how long have you been on this journey?
10 months. I'm a South African, but unless you've got the means financially to do so and the time to do so, to travel in your own country for a length of time, not a week here and a week there, and I just had the most amazing time. My favorite country at this stage, out of all the countries I've ever gone to, is South Africa. It's just amazing. So I did 4 and a bit months in South Africa, spent a nice long time in Mozambique, Kruger National Park, Botswana, back into South Africa to say goodbye to family and friends for the last time, and then now 2 months here. So before you know it, you're at 10 months.
That's amazing. It's fascinating to meet people, knowing that, you know, everyone wants to travel, everyone wants to see the world, but there's challenges, and then meeting someone who actually does it, it just kind of gives that hope, that little fire, that little flame that can turn into a fire.
Yolanda, there is no doubt about it that the greater the things that we want to achieve in life, the other side of the coin often is sacrifice, thinking medium to long term, planning, keeping your foresight going, and just holding on to that goal. But really, if you have a long-term goal, we're talking 3 years, you can save, you can plan. I would say that anyone can do that. You can do this kind of journey with children. If you Google a guy called Graham Bell, is just one of a number of people. They've been traveling with their 2 kids for 5 years. You can travel around the world. I've met people with young babies, with teenagers traveling around the world. It's not an expensive thing to do. You just got to bite the bullet. It's not always easy, but you've got to say goodbye to your DSTV and sometimes your hot water in the morning.
JP, thank you so much, and good luck on your journey. And I hope you come back to Namibia one day.
It depends on what's here for me, but it's a great land and great people, and I'm hoping so.
And then you can come tell us how China was.
And all the other countries, 50 odd countries. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back shortly.
Thank you.
Very interesting interview. I was just trying to imagine what he meant with a little bit of money.
Yeah.
To travel for 5 years is not exactly that little. So yeah, good stuff to him. At least he does it. I mean, many people have the means and they're simply not prepared to get up from their chair. So I think he's doing tremendously well. So good luck to him, and I hope we will hear from him regularly. We'll try and have Yolanda follow his route and see as he goes along. He might give us a few bits of feedback and so on. So anyway, so that was tour to China.
So next up, you will remember that Tourismus Namibia recently broadcasted a media event brought to you by the Women's Leadership Center, which had invited the geologist Matthew Totten Jr. to talk about Recon Africa's quest to find oil in the Kavango. And while Matt made it clear that the whole exploration exercise seems to be an effort to take investors for a ride, Renani Musutua of the Economic and Social Justice Trust commented quite harshly too. So here's a little synopsis of what was said.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to this very important event. So my presentation is around all the rights that Recon Africa has been abusing. That's because Recon didn't really engage, interested parties and affected communities. So no objections or concerns were raised or published in Recon Africa's final environmental impact assessment, as required by the Communal Land Reform Act of 2002. So when it came, it just started, drilling and started evicting people, indigenous people from their ancestral land. Like they just come and say, okay, we're going to start drilling. Can you move, please? So when they started drilling, actually, they started in the Mahangu field of a local farmer without his permission or compensation, or without making any arrangements of reallocating him to another land. Our groundwater, soil, and air will be contaminated by Recon's activities, and this really poses a huge health risk to residents living near the drill sites. and imagine this is just going to go on and on like that unless we stop them. If you Google NORM, that's NORM, that's Canadian regulations on oil and gas exploration. That explains to you that that's not actually supposed to happen. Why are they trying to poison our local farmers? That we really don't understand. Now, allowing Recon Africa to operate in protected areas, because where Recon Africa is drilling at the moment, there's community forest there and there's conservancies as well. If we allow Recon Africa to continue operating in protected areas, that definitely goes against our values. That's what we are well known for. We are a conservation country. That's what we are known for. Government is entrusted to protect indigenous people's land rights and to ensure that they have access to resources that they depend on for survival. And in this instance, government has truly failed to protect the Namibian people and protect our fragile ecosystem. We don't understand why President Hage Geingob is so much in support of Recon Africa with all its corrupt and unethical practices here in our country and undermining our human rights and violating our laws. So how can the president support such a company?
Yeah, just a little reminder that Recon Africa is not going away by itself. We need to be on that thing and really know what's going on. This was obviously a direct result after the president had made that remark that we talk too much. And the Women's Leadership Center, they were very adamant that we need to talk.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there you have it. Just one last time, so that brings us to the end of the show. It's a bit longer than an hour almost today, so it's been longer, but it's been fun. Thank you for having us, and thank you for being there.
Thank you for allowing me to be a part of the Tourismus family.
Yeah, sure. And like I said, you're welcome. Anyway, brings us to the end of the show. Keep well, and hope to see you next week, same time, same place. Until then, remain healthy and look after yourself. Bye.
If you're feeling it, I'm feeling, and you know I won't stop. All we gotta do is take our love to the top. If I got it and you want it, and you'll never let it drop. All we gotta do is take our love to the top. I will ride for you, baby, even die for you. When I'm loving you, but my heart don't stop.